next guest is Royal Editor for the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers. Russell, great to have you back with us. Look, I hope you managed a couple of sleep-ins this week after what has been, or what has looked like, a relentless lead up to the coronation. Unsurprisingly, though, the Royals have hit the ground running. Can you tell us about the big help out and the garden party this week?
Yeah, I can. Well, great to see you. It's great to see you again. And well, they've been absolutely relentless this week. I mean, their punishing schedule after the coronation, and after it, we got to find out what the big help out is, and it's the lasting legacy of the coronation. Charles, the King, was very intent that there would be a legacy after it. I mean, a lot of controversy about how much it was costing. Various controversies about protesters. But the big help out was a huge community event on the Monday after the coronation. Thousands and thousands of people all over the country getting involved in local community aspects, and it was a huge hit.
And the garden party?
Well, the garden parties are a staple of royal life, and the King was at one with the Queen just a couple of weeks ago, and lucky enough I was there, and the Prince and Princess of Wales were at one this week, and these are all for community heroes, the great and the good, going to Buckingham Palace, and one in Scotland as well will be held in a few weeks' time, and thousands of people being celebrated once again.
And that, I just think that's fabulous. Look, and even at the coronation, we know that there was quite a number of community leaders who were invited. We've had the big help out, the garden parties. Do you think that we will continue to see a very public focus on community and volunteer work?
Well, absolutely. I think, we're talking about what is next for the royal family, and certainly this is a major question for the royals. I mean, after the coronation, there does seem to be a big move to these community events, and all over the country, not even all over the country, all over the Commonwealth as well. And that definitely is something that the King will want to, have the rest of the royal family doing. We saw the Prince and Princess of Wales out with their children just last week. We saw Prince Louis doing his first royal engagement for the first time. And I think this is definitely what we're going to see a bit more of the royals over the next few weeks and months.
And as we know, Charles is looking to slim down the royal family. However, with fewer working royals, doesn't that mean more workload to split between them?
Well, certainly. I mean, we're talking about slimmed down monarchy. There isn't very much of them left, is there? After Andrew has obviously stepped back in disgrace, we've had the Duke and Duchess of Sussex having to leave of their own accord. And, who is left, really? The Prince and Princess of Wales really do have it on their shoulders. And talking about Prince Louis doing his first royal engagement, well, he is only 5, and the other 2 children just 8 and 7, or 9 and 8 right now. And you're talking about, when we will see them doing more engagements. Well, it probably won't be very, very soon. But, Prince and Princess of Wales really do have a lot on their shoulders. And I do think we'll have to see a bit more collaboration between the royal family, talking about these community events. We need to really see them all over the country very, very soon, because there is a bit of controversy after the coronation. It costs an awful lot of money, and what are we getting for our money? I think that is a big question for the British public, and what does the royal family mean to a lot of people? That is a question that the royals are going to have to answer.
And do you think there's any likelihood of an adjustment in this slim down policy going forward? Maybe other royals being elevated to senior royal position or something like that to help share that workload?
Well, it's an interesting question, because you're talking about whether the York sisters will be involved, whether the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh's children will be involved. I mean, Lady Louise is now 19. Will she be coming into royal life? To be honest, I can't see it. I think Charles will stick to this slimmed down monarchy. I think that he will want to have this slimmed down version of it, more streamlined. But, as I said, there is a lot more pressure, not only on the King and the Queen, who are 74 and 75, but also on William and Kate as well. And I do think that pressure will start to bite. But in terms of broadening it out, no, I can't see it, to be honest.
Okay. Now, look, back to the coronation. We know that there were several protests. Questions are being asked about police arresting protesters, including a royal superfan who was mistaken for a protester. Is that right?
Well, it is. This lady was called Alice Chalmers, and she was arrested along with dozens of protesters. And I think this is a real big issue for Scotland Yard. The Met Police were arresting people not only just for potentially protesting, but for literally just being there. And you're seeing those images now on the campaign group Republic. They had many meetings with the Met Police before the coronation. They had said that they were going to exercise their right to peaceful protest. And I think it's been widely accepted that this was a pretty disgraceful act by the police on the day. And there will be big questions to answer because a Republic group are saying that they want answers. They want an apology first and foremost. But their right to protest was taken away on that day on the biggest stage of all. And I think that was not only a crying shame, but damn right disgraceful from the police on that day. And I don't think we've heard the last of this.
And is that a broad view? I mean, in the UK, like Australia, there is that right to peaceful protest. Just because it is the coronation doesn't mean that right to protest dissipates. Is that generally a broad view that they should have been allowed to protest?
Oh, no, absolutely. I think that, first and foremost, Republic are an established group. There was obviously a lot of concern. I mean, if you take the point of the police and the security services, there were several big issues that they were looking out for on the day. However, the fact that there had been meetings prior to the main event really does beg the question of why this heavy-handed tactics were taken by the police. And I think that Republic will want some answers. As I say, their right to protest was taken away on the biggest stage of all, and I think it's widely accepted that was completely despicable by the police. So, it's not like they get another run at it, and so they will want some serious
Right.
questions and possibly an investigation to be taking place.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, we know Andrew has been largely sidelined at the coronation, and despite turning up in his garter robes, which you commented on Twitter that was unusual, but we also understand that he was in a number of photos, although those photos won't be released. Can you explain what's going on?
Well, again, I mean, these pictures that are part of the portrait set, it has been rumoured that he was part of the wider set that weren't released to the public. Now, we have seen some of the King and the Queen. We saw another one just released a couple of days ago of the King and his two heirs, William and George. Now, you're seeing those images there of Andrew walking in his garter robes. Now, he was banned by the late Queen from wearing these last year at Windsor. And I did think it was surprising because I had asked Buckingham Palace whether he would be wearing these about 2 or 3 weeks before the event, and they said that he wouldn't. Now, the reason that this is an issue, because he has stepped back from royal duties. This Order of the Garter is one of the most incredible orders of chivalry. And the fact that he's walking in his robes, part of that order, I think some big questions were asked about why he was allowed to do that when the late Queen made it her decision that she didn't want him seen in public in them.
We also understand that he's refusing to leave the Royal Lodge at Windsor and is demanding a summit with Charles. Look, we hear so many of these sorts of stories about Andrew. Can he just not read the room?
Well, I think that's probably an understatement, isn't it? I mean, the fact is, he's not only had to step back, his financial situation is completely shrouded in mystery. The fact that he had to pay off his sex abuse accuser, Virginia Giuffre, to £12 million, even though he had vehemently denied all the allegations in front of him, really does beg the question of where on earth his money is coming from. Now, the King has asked him to step aside, step out of his house, and he's pretty much refusing to do so. I think one of the big questions again is for Fergie, where on earth will she fit in this, his ex-wife who still lives with him? And the fact if they do not move out of it, I mean, the King will probably either have to evict him or, they'll probably come to blows. But I don't think it's resolved by any means at the moment.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look that way at all. Now, this next coronation yarn made me giggle. The Archbishop of Canterbury apparently refused to have new vestments made for the coronation, and then at the last minute had to borrow some from the Catholic Church. Now, look, that's a story I would not have had in a million years on my 2023 bingo card. So what happened?
Well, I think it's quite fitting because, the King was also all about sustainability for the coronation. And that may seem slightly ludicrous at times because, as a man arriving in a gold coach and wearing a jewelled crown. But the Archbishop of Canterbury said that he didn't want these vestments to be made, these sort of priestly robes that they were all wearing. So he borrowed a set of 10 for the bishops from the Catholic Church. And as you rightly say, this is something that we wouldn't have ever dreamed of hearing about, this collaboration between the two fractions. But as the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, said, he pretty much picked up the phone, asked if he could borrow them, and they duly obliged and said that they were more than willing to. So, whether it fits in with the whole sustainability message, I'm not sure, but it's quite an interesting yarn.
I thought it was a fabulous yarn. And look, another thing I didn't expect this year was Princess Kate stealing the show at Eurovision. Let's take a look. Tell us about her performance, Russell.
Well, again, we've seen her on the piano beforehand because she did the Carol concert a couple of years ago and she was playing the piano. Of course, she's been learning it since she was a child. She's absolutely incredible at it. And Eurovision here in the UK this weekend, because it was supposed to be held in Ukraine, but because of the war situation ongoing in the country, we've taken it to Liverpool. And this was part of a surprise for the event last night, aired on television, and took everybody by surprise. And as you say, completely stole the show.
Yeah, I just thought it was fabulous. I just when you didn't think it could get any better this fortnight, it does. Look, Russell Myers, thank you so much for joining us. We'll speak with you again shortly.
Thanks so much.